Welcome to Ordinary People Podcast, where we talk to ordinary people with extraordinary stories. I'm your host, Alan the Great, and today we're going to do something different. Today we're going to do the Ordinary People Extraordinary Opinion, where I'm going to give you my opinion on some current events that's been going on. Today's current event I want to discuss today is we are 2 weeks away from the election. That's right, the presidential election is literally 2 weeks away, and I want to discuss it, and I want to give my opinion on the presidential election, this year's presidential election. What I feel about it is this. We can learn a lot from even the worst case scenarios. We can learn a lot from and be motivated by anything. If you look for a silver lining in any situation, you can find it. It's just like this. If you ever look for dirt, you dig deep enough, you'll find dirt. Well, we're going to dig deep in this, and we're not going to look for dirt. We're going to look for gold. We're going to look for gems. We're going to look for diamonds in ways we can turn such a crazy election into something positive that we can all grow from, something that we can learn from, and that we can then teach our kids. Now, first instinct when I'm looking at this election, the first thing I'm noticing is it's a lot of mud flying. There's a lot of mud flying. There's a lot of insults. It what stood out to me while I listened to the second debate, a teacher stood up and she asked this question to both presidential candidates. Are y'all being a good example to young people who are watching that? Let's sit here and let's dissect that question for a second. We all know the answers, listeners. We know the answer to that question. Absolutely no. They're not being a good example for the young audience, the future leaders of this country. When you look at insults flying back and forth, disagreement, not having the conversation but having the argument. No, it's not being a good example. But how does that affect you and me? How does that affect us as parents? How does that affect us as teachers, us as authority figures out here? How does the presidential election and how the two presidential candidates affect us? What can we learn from somebody throwing mud at each other? Well, one of the things you can learn is that you don't do it. To learn from their mistakes that we shouldn't do it. And what I mean by throwing mud at each other, let's start diving into some of the issues that we face every single day in this country. Lately, we've been dealing with the issue of race, police against blacks, and the killings of police officers, the killings of unarmed black people, whether it's black men, black women, black children. We've been dealing with this a lot. Cops getting killed in Texas, unarmed black people getting killed in Minnesota, Delaware. All over the country, Cleveland, Ohio. It's all over the country. It's something we can't escape. Where does all this tangle in? How does this all go back to the presidential election? Just give me a second and let me explain. When you look at the presidential election, when you look at the debates, yes, they're supposed to argue each other's opinion. But when you argue each other's opinion and you're having a conversation doesn't always have to end in insults. One of the biggest issues this country is facing, and some of the things that we're facing as a group, is that we're so divided. Not only are we divided, but we're not respectful to each other's opinions. When you look at the presidential candidates right now, as the presidential election is going on, you don't see respect for each other. And we as people conduct the same behavior every day in our everyday lives. And we got to ask ourselves a question when we're displaying this behavior. What kind of impression are we leaving for our children? What kind of impression are we making, we giving our children? Honestly, ask yourself that. It's okay that I disagree with the person across from me, opinion about police brutality. That's fine. What's not okay is if I'm disrespecting that person because of their opinion, and I'm not respecting that person's opinion and not having a respectable conversation. See, a lot of greatness can come out of respectful conversation. What can come out of it is compromise. We can learn from each other. We can learn from each other's differences. We can learn from each other's hurt. What if we sat back and we said, how is that police officer's family feeling after he was murdered? I mean, he didn't have anything to do with the killings in Minnesota. I mean, this police officer in Texas, he was nowhere near this killing. So how does that family feel? Then what if the police officers, they sit back and said, how does Trayvon Martin's family feel? Eric Gardner's family feel after their children, their husbands, their fathers were killed unjustly by the police? What if we step back and just said, we just step back and we looked at how each other feel and react? Instead of pointing fingers, we just sit back and we just have a conversation with each other. We learn to love each other, respect each other's opinion. What could change? Well, let me just explain this. Change doesn't come from us deciding to focus on our problems. See, most of us, when I'm looking at the presidential election, and I'm looking at all these things going on with the Black Lives Matter, with the killing of the cops up there screaming all lives matter and blue lives matter, and black people hollering all Black Lives Matter, and all this noise. There's so many people are focusing on the problem. But what I notice in the presidential elections, and what I notice with the everyday scenario going on around us, is nobody's focusing on a solution. There's rarely a person focusing on a solution or looking for a solution or suggesting a solution to the problem. Okay, I get it. Black people, we shouldn't be raiding our neighborhoods and rioting. We shouldn't be tearing up our neighborhoods. I get it. But if we want change, let's look into the presidential election. Let's look into the candidates that's out there. If you want change, we have to put forth the effort to make change. Gotta get out there and vote. But not only vote, let's look deeper into that, because a lot of people say, the election is rigged, or you might hear the media is biased. One of the things we promote on the Ordinary People podcast is knowledge, motivation. And one of the things you often hear if you listen to interviews me say is, get on Google. Google this. Google the information. You can get information because it's at your fingertips. So if you want to know something about the presidential election, the presidential candidates, you don't have to look at the news. You don't have to go on the news to get the information. You can go on Google and fact check yourself to see which candidate really supports the ideas you have, really support, and is really going to put the effort together for change, to make change, to really make this country great again, to undivide us and bring us back together. We all have the responsibility to do that. We have the responsibility to be better role models for our children. Listen, I get it. Being a role model is not an easy job. Being a father is not an easy job. From experience, I can tell you that being a mother is not an easy job. But it's a job that we all must do. It's hard to be perfect, and no one's asking anyone to be perfect. But what we are asking is to have respect for each other. We all was given, what the gifts from God that we all received was the ability to choose, the ability to be different. When you look at the presidential election, you're looking at two candidates who are completely different, have different ideas, have different perspectives, have different views on the world and how they would change and redirect the world. What the problem is with different, most people make different into such a bad, negative thing. Different's not always bad. It just depends on what view do you choose to look at different. If you take a step back, different can be good. Because a different of perspective, a different of opinion could mean a different way of looking at things, a better way of looking at things. So my challenge to my listeners today of this segment is this. Dig deep into the candidate's background. Dig deep into what they say. Fact check them, not through the media, not through social media, not through your friends or anybody's opinion, not through a debate, but actually go back. Take the time before you go out and vote. For any candidate, whether it's on the executive, judicial, local level, go and fact check these candidates. Don't look at the mudsliding that's going back and forth and all the mud throwing and the insults. No, actually go and fact check. We all have a responsibility to make our vote count and to make a difference. Only way we make that difference is if we actually go out and make the right decisions and do our homework. Think about this, okay? Your vote is like your money, okay? If you own a house and you pay a contractor to come put your roof on, what do? You're not going to just go and look at the news and say, JJ's roofing had a great ad on newspaper. So you know what? I'm going to use that roofing agency and I'm going to let them put my roof on. No, what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to look up JJ Roofing. You're going to research them. You're going to check their reviews. You're going to check their work. You're going to ask around. Because, see, you work hard for your money, right? We don't have money to squander away. In today's economy, none of us have money to squander away. And by the way, our house is our investment. That's our investment. To most people, your house is your biggest investment. So you're gonna put that money in the roof, and you're hopefully that this roof is gonna bring you money back in the long term. Maybe when you retire, you might want to sell your house and go and live in Miami. But if you hire JJ Roof and they do a horrible job, that could be a difference of you losing $6,000 to $10,000 of your hard-earned money. But see, you're not going to do that because you're going to take the time to actually research JJ Roofing and make sure you get the right roofing company to come on and put that roof on. Well, treat the election the same way. Treat your vote like you treat your money. Don't give your vote to just anybody. Don't give your vote to a candidate just because they have a fancy ad on the television, or because the news say, hey, you should vote for this person because this person believes what you believe in. Or because your friend, your next door neighbor telling you, pressuring you to vote for them. No, actually do your homework on them. Why you should do it? Because this is not only an investment into your future. This is an investment into your children's future. The candidate you choose in the next 2 weeks is going to be an investment into your future and your livelihood. Whether you can pay that $6,000 or $10,000 to get that roof is a difference of who you choose to vote for and what candidate comes in. You never know. You might vote for the wrong candidate who might raise your taxes, who may cut your job so you don't have the job now to pay for that roof. Not only do you not have the money to pay for that roof, you don't have the money to pay for that house anymore, to put your kids through college. What I'm saying is, through this election, one of the things you can learn, one of the things you can do is you can take the proper steps to make a difference in this world. Not to wait on one person to come and fix all of our problems. It's all our personal responsibility to change the issues in the world. And the only way to change those issues is we got to stop focusing on a problem and start focusing on a solution to the problem. One of the ways to do that is treat your vote like your money. Your vote is power. You have a voice. Let your voice be heard this year when you go out to vote. When you go out before you go out to vote, before you cast that vote for a candidate, whether it's on your local or top level election, do your homework. Do your research. Make sure you pick the candidate that's going to build this country to be stronger, to build this country to be moving in the right direction, that's going to make you to continue growth in your income, growth into your future, to your children's future. The time is now for you to make your vote heard. Now, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and when I brought up the election to him, he got really, I don't want to say nervous, and this person is a very opinionated person just like me, and he barely shies away from it. But he said, you know, I don't know if I want to vote this year. And I'm not telling anybody to not vote. Here's my opinion on that. I told him, he said to me, you know, people say to him, if you choose not to vote, then you lose your right to complain about anything going on with this world, or to say you don't like the way this country is going or the way the government is running. And you know, my response to him was, that's untrue. Now, once again, I want to make sure people understand I'm not telling you not to vote. Please go out and vote for who you believe is the best candidate. But what I will also urge you to do is take a stand. And what I said to him was, my response to him was, by not voting, you're also showing you're making your voice heard. You're showing your voice heard that maybe you are not going to give your money to just any company. You're not going to give your vote to any candidate just because someone say you have to. You're making a stand to say, you know what, I'm going to give my vote to a candidate that deserves it. And that is much louder than anything else. So what I'm saying to you today is, if you're going to go vote for somebody, don't only vote for them and hope that they make a difference. Hold them to that. Make them earn your vote. Hold them to the promises that they gave you before you cast that election. Just like you're going to hold JJ Roofing Company to that promise he made. When they decide they're going to put that new roof on your house, you hold the candidates to that same responsibility. Look past the mud throwing that's going on. Look into your children's eyes. Look into your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren's eyes, and look into their future as well as your own. And all of us as individuals can learn from this and look at them and say, you know what, we're going to be a better role model. My dad once said to me, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A genius learns from others. What I want all my listeners to do is become geniuses. Learn from other mistakes. Learn from the candidates' mistakes. And make better decisions. Be better role models. This election season is very important for us to go out and vote. Cast your vote. Let your voice be heard. And most importantly, make whoever you vote for, make sure that you hold them to the promises they make. Make them earn your vote. And make them understand moving forward they will have to do that. Every candidate comes, whether on a local or higher level, will have to work for and earn your vote. Once again, this is Alan the Great. This is the Ordinary People's podcast, where I'm giving you my extraordinary opinion. Join me again for my next extraordinary opinion, where I will once again give you my opinion on how you can be motivated and learn from mistakes from others or from just things that's going on around us. Also, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Alan the Great, where you can listen to extraordinary stories, and my podcast, my Ordinary People podcast, where I talk to Mr. Bruce Dorsey about being a life coach, how to build a business, how to run a business, how to overcome the obstacles that stop you from chasing your dreams. Also, the Andre Ryder episode where we talk about drug addiction and how to overcome a drug addiction and how to understand and learn how to appreciate and work with the people in your family that may have drug addictions. Once again, this is Alan the Great, and I want to thank you for listening to my extraordinary opinion. Peace.